this lesson I'm going to show you a great way to create new voicings by inverting a major 9 chord. Now typically when we invert drop 2 chords, for example, when we invert major 7 chords, okay, they sound like this. Okay, here's your second inversion and your third inversion. Now if you're not familiar with these fingerings, make sure to review the drop 2 lessons on this website. Now, one special voicing that sounds great and gives you some very nice voicings for composition is by taking a drop 2 major 7, okay, taking the top note, the E in this example, and bringing it down to a D. So you get this major 9 chord. Now you could also look at this as a G triad. There's your G triad over a C bass, okay, or a C major 9 with no third. You could look at it in that way too. Okay, now let's just invert this and see what we get. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same process of inverting a drop 2. So basically taking all of my E's and bringing them down to a D. So what I do here is I go to the first inversion of the major 7 like this and say, okay, I want to drop my E down to a D. Now I get this voicing. Beautiful chord. Then I go to my next inversion. Okay, then I want to take my E and bring it down to a D. Now you're going to find this one's a very wide stretch. It's a great sounding chord, but a very wide stretch. So what I do is I take the B and I put it on the top string. So I'm playing on the 5th, 4th, 3rd strings, and I skip up to the E. So this is the way around this difficult fingering, because when you initially do this you might say, oh, okay, I can't reach that, you know, I'm not going to be able to use that chord, even though it's a highly usable chord and I use this a lot in my composition. So all you have to do is just make the adjustment of changing the string and you can get that sound on guitar fairly easily now. Okay, then we go to our next inversion, which would be this, okay. And we're going to move our E down to the D. So by converting the major 7 to the major 9, we get these new voicings. For me, those sounds are highly usable in composition and comping. Now, I like to just play around with these sounds in a compositional way, just by maybe starting on a chord and taking the top note and trying one of the other voicings like that, just to see where it takes me, and then taking the top note and trying another one of the voicings and then going. So I'm not really thinking in terms of a key, I'm just thinking in terms of colors. Now let's try another one. Let's go to, okay, let's go up. Okay, now let's take another one. See, they all tend to kind of work nicely with each other. Let's take this one. Now let's try this. See, they all tend to work nicely if you kind of think melodically on, you know, the top voice. Let's try, and so what I would encourage you to do at the beginning is just use these voicings just as colors, and you don't have to think so theoretically about it. Just generate the new fingerings, and you know, just use your ear and your intuition to move them around. Now, once you've done this, then you can start to incorporate these into, you know, an actual song form where you use these inversions, you know, as a major sound, you know, when you have a chord that's a major chord in a tune. So for example, if it's a D major, okay, you can use this as a voicing in your comping. So you could go like that over a D major chord. It'll give you a very modern sound, a very contemporary chordal sound.